Right, let me stop the transcript. Right. So this is more comprehensive. So if you look at this particular document here, we are looking at part B now. Please also remember this is the rubric we use to mark, and you should be able to. We'll spend a lot of time talking about it before the submission is due. Right. So in terms of part B, and I'm not a big fan of how it's laid out, but that's bad luck now. We're doing it this way. So part B is your literature review, although there are some elements that that don't really belong in a literature review. So you'll see it's your introduction, it's your paradigm, your theoretical foundation, your conceptualization, and in your literature review. So if we look at the slides very quickly then, so let's start with an introduction. So before I even look at the slide, I think for me, an introduction does three things. Grabs someone's attention, it gives a person a reason to read further, and it gives us a roadmap that we intend to follow in this particular document. There are a couple of things that are important in terms of the introduction. It sets the tone of the paper. I like introductions, and I'll spend a lot of time with my supervision group on this, that grabs the attention. For me, an introduction has to start with some overarching statement, whether it's controversial, whether it's a quotable quote, etc. So have something that really grabs the person's attention. And once you've grabbed that person's attention, you can then, once you've caught their interest in the topic, you can then start talking about the details. One of the things that you'll put into your introduction and your context setting, guys, is to give us numbers, stats, and facts that relate and will ultimately point to what our research problem is. So start talking about your topic, introduce your topic, and then give us numbers, stats, and facts around that topic. Okay. So it is to give us how this study fits into a bigger context, and that contextualization would be the numbers, stats, and facts. And then remember, you writing for a specific audience. So bear that audience in mind all the time. I will be going through some samples just now if we've got enough time. From there, you'll do your paradigm. Please just excuse me. Right, from there, you'll do your paradigm, interpretivism and positivism. You know this stuff by now. So I've got a couple of slides that unpacks some of the detail. So in terms of your ontology, and I'm jumping ahead because we don't have that much time. What have I done? I've left out one of the slides. Okay, let me do it on this one here. Right. So in terms of your ontology, guys, this is what you consider your reality to be. What is reality? If you're a positivist, reality is something external, it is objective, it exists separate from the researcher. It is often governed by specific laws. So if I say to you, what is water? The laws that govern water will tell us that it's H2O. In terms of interpretivism, what reality is based around perceptions, subjective experiences. So part of reality in terms of ontology is that often three people can encounter the same people, thing, event, but will each have their own interpretation, their own perceptions, their own concerns about that. So, in terms of ontology, that is what reality is. For the positivist, it is something that is objective, it's H2O. For me, water is solitude, it is quiet, it's relaxation, it is time away from stresses. And literally, we've asked the same thing. In terms of reality, if you're the accident investigator, it is how long the skid marks are. It is how long the reaction time would have taken to kick in, and how that would have affected the accident. Here, it is reality would be those people that saw the accident, and you interviewing those and understanding their perceptions, those witnesses. Epistemology is about what is valid knowledge. In terms of your positivist approach, valid knowledge is something that is scientifically produced. It is something that is empirically observed and reproduced through numbers and stats. Valid knowledge is something that can ultimately summarized into a set of laws. In terms of the interpretivist approach, knowledge is essentially the idea of knowledge is vested within those individuals who've experienced that particular phenomenon. Yeah. And then your axiology is the one that we have here. Here it is about objective research versus uniqueness being valued. Guys, I've messed this up. Can I quickly find this slide? Because this is my favorite and I've left a slide out. My apologies for this. Hold on a second. Where is it? Right. So much mess here. Where is it? Um, Yeah, I messed this up quite badly, actually. I think I've had the right slide, but in the design, messed it up. This is my favorite one of the slides to use. This is the favorite of the slides to use. So ontology, what is reality? And you can see there, objective singular, separate from the researcher. Reality is something that is experienced, that is perceived. It is subjective. Epistemology, what do we consider to be valid knowledge? This is my best slide on this. Independent of what is being researched, so essentially a set of laws, and the fact that the researcher interacts with what is being researched. There is some subjectivity. Axiology, in terms of the role of values, yeah, here we have no value. It's value free, it's unbiased, and that's why we use stats and numbers. Here, there are lots of biases, and we account for our biases in the research. When we come to writing, this is always in the third person. Having said that, there's a general rule agreed that everyone will write in the third person. But when you go and do your masters, you generally will adopt a far more informal approach, and you can write in the first person, but we've been given an instruction that everyone will write in the third person. I think it somehow messes with our golden thread. And then methodology. Here we look at moving from the general to the specific. So we take a theory and we try and test that theory within a specific context. In terms of inductive, here we move from the specific to the general. And the specific would be perceptions, fears, concerns, etc., and we create a generalized view of that. So, in terms of methodology, deductive versus inductive. You'll see I've given a lot of additional descriptions here. Here are others that you can use. I think I don't put in references, guys. I'd rather let you go find your own references, okay? Right. So from there, we need to do the theoretical foundation. And I'm just going to open a blank Word document. Guys, so you will have to select a theory that forms part of your theoretical foundation. So for me, I do this with my people that I'm supervising. Yeah, Elizma, you say the researcher. I hate it. I hate writing like that, in particular when you're doing qualitative research. Also, try and avoid the researcher. Rather write in the third person without saying the researcher because it's clumsy. I don't like that style of writing. Right. So, in terms of the theoretical framework, your supervisor will help you with finding a theory. If the supervisors are not able to do so, I will jump in and find theories for you guys. So, your theoretical framework, the way we write this is theoretical framework. Did they call it a framework here or foundation? I can't remember. If it's foundation, it's foundation. Okay. Right. So in your theoretical foundation, you will select a theory. For quantitative people, I suggest you select a theory that relates to your independent and your dependent variable. For the qualitative people, it's okay to select one theory, but you can select more than one theory. So you will have your theory. And let's just say your theory is the technology acceptance um, model. My apologies. So the way I like a theoretical foundation to be written, and I urge you to do it the same way. There are three parts, and again, you're not going to write part A, part B, part C. Part A is where you discuss the theory in its original format. So here you look at the original theory as postulated, as created by the authors. Please quote the original authors here. Now, you'll find that a lot of those have been around for a long time, but write the theory as it was initially presented, initially postulated. And I know that I'm being a bit procedurized here. Part B is where you provide us with updated views on the theory. So you go and look at other people that have written about this theory and start looking at what the updated views on the theory is. Part C is why this theory is relevant. If you do it that way, you cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong whatsoever. Why is this theory relevant to your research? And the same thing, guys. If you have two theories, you will do the same thing. But have each of those elements attended to. Theory in original format, and then updated views on the theory and why this theory is relevant. Please tell me that makes sense. If you do it that way, you cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong whatsoever. And if you have two theories, the same format. Please don't write A, B, and C. Okay, that's not the intention. It's just my mind is quite confused, and I like the idea of having things categorized. Right. So from there, let me open this here. Right, you'll have your blueprint. It tells you that this is what we're going to use to build our study around. Okay. I like the idea of the original, updated views, and why it's relevant. Right, and you can see some of the discussions here that I've got. From there, you'll do your conceptualization. Right. So, in terms of the conceptualization are those key definitions that you need to understand or that a reader would have to understand in order to effectively read a particular paper. So, here you look at those key concepts that are core to your particular paper. You'll identify the concept. You will define the concept using a proper academic reference. Please don't use dictionaries and nonsense like that. Use an academic reference, and then you will just personalize that context in terms, that concept in terms of your research. I cannot tell you how many concepts there will be, but it's unlikely that there will be fewer than 5 concepts. It is unlikely you will have more than 5 concepts, but I hate giving numbers at this point. So again, indicate the concept, define the concept using existing academic references, and then just contextualize the concept within your research. Again, procedurized, for me, that is what works. From there, we'll do our literature review. Now, the ultimate outcome on the literature review will be a set of themes, will be a set of themes. And I'm going to show how to do that. Oh, shucks, it's 5 to 6. Is a set of themes, and then your synthesis of main ideas. Okay. So in terms of this, it really is just tying everything together. It's a hell of a lot to grasp, but that's why you've got supervisors and that's why you've got me. Guys, I've done this. This is my Squattle 20th year, if not more, of supervision. I've supervised master's students, I've supervised PhD students, I've supervised LLB students, I've supervised over 100 honors students. And yes, you've got your own supervisor for RPBS, and your primary relationship is with your supervisor. But trust me, I'm not disappearing as in this process, guys. I am always available, and some of the supervisors don't like that. And that's why we also will use some of the RMBS lectures for this, and in particular in the initial stages. To also just say, guys, my intention is not to stop this semester. There are no lectures scheduled for second semester, but we will keep working on this together. We will keep working on this together. So I'm not disappearing and dropping you. I've done this so many times, and honestly, if you look at the outputs that we get, they're bloody impressive. Okay. Can I quickly show you one more thing, guys, before we say cheers to each other? So I did say in terms of your literature review, and let's just see if I can find, I used it earlier today. Okay. I can't recall whether I had shared some past research papers with you. If I have, then this would be one of them. If I haven't, I will load it onto the RMBS group. Go for it, Lebohang.
Sorry, with the conceptualization, can we put in like a table format where the one
Um,
column
I,
will be like the
I'm
peer
not a
and the
big fan of a table format, Lebohang, but that depends on your supervisor. But just remember, when we get to the final one, there's cross marking. Just don't do it as the table format, okay? I
okay,
don't like the idea of a table format,
okay,
okay? Because we
okay.
don't know what your marker at the end of the year will have. Okay, Sandra, if I've not shared it, I will make sure that I've shared these by tomorrow. So, what is nice about this is Ariel's qualitative research. You can steal a lot of information from here. I just want to get to, my gosh, the literature review. Hold on a second. Where is it? And you'll see her descriptions and discussions. This was a document that received 91% as a final submission. Okay. Very impressive. And you also see that this is a person who's where English is her third language, and this is done before AI existed, which makes this more impressive. So you'll see what a literature review is. I'll prefer this one, but you'll see how she's discussed her theoretical foundation. She's used TAM and another theory, okay? And the 3 components will be there. In terms of the literature review, you will do a lot of reading. You'll spend a lot of time doing research to find sources to work from. I like the idea of summarizing the different sources initially and then consolidating those sources. Please get this right. Please label the different themes that emerge from your research. So here is her first theme, but you'll see how much work she's put in. For most of her statements, she has several sources that we use to arrive at this statement. So in terms of the literature review, is here you are looking at existing scholarship. You are consolidating that existing scholarship into your discussion, your literature review. Now, I know that they said 5 year or younger, but sometimes you will encounter seminal authors. Those are those individuals who are considered subject matter experts in a particular area, and you will use some older references. But we want you to look at more recent journal articles. But you can see the number of sources. There is a source, there is a source, there is a source that she used. And out of that, you build an argument, you build a counter argument, you build an overall picture of a particular subject and topic. Go, Lesejo.
So I just want to ask, with regards to referencing, do you expect us to reference every, let's say, for example, in a paragraph, it's the same source. Do you expect us to reference each and every sentence in the paragraph, or can we just reference at the end of the paragraph?
You never reference at the end of the paragraph. If you only reference at the end of the paragraph, it suggests that it's a summary and not a critical discussion. A literature review is a critical discussion, but you also don't want to have the same one, because if you have the same reference, same reference, same reference, that is a summary. That is not a critical review. And you'll
Okay.
see that she has multiple authors that she's used in constructing her argument. And it's about contrasting points of view and then building an argument to support one or the other. But if you, and I can tell you now, if I have to mark your paper and it ends up with a reference at the end of each, I will nail you, because then it's a summary. This is not a summary. This is a critical review of existing scholarship. Okay.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
it's also finding that balance between how many times you put in a reference, but you can't just have one reference per paragraph. That is not what this is about. This was immaculate. This was before AI as well. Guys, to also just show you that, I mean, the one thing, and I'm assuming now at this point that you guys have done EBSCOhost training. Have you done EBSCOhost training? Oh, dear Lord. Okay, Elizabeth, thank you. Who's not heard of EBSCOhost? Oh, dear Lord. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. You've got to attend these library sessions, guys. You have to attend the library sessions. Have they, in the library sessions, done Research Rabbit with you? I'm going to stop recording now because I'm now talking over this recording. Have they done Research Rabbit with you?